Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is the Piracy Show, and yep, we're talking about landings. Now recently on Ask the Devs they talked about landing systems, and they were talking about bringing back through the MFDs the landing system that we had in 2.6.3, which is where you go to a landing pad and you would kind of see relatively where the landing pad was and how your ship was relative to it, and that would assist you to land. And that's a system that CIG is looking to bring back. Now, as a counter to that, I would suggest that the landing system, though good for hitting a landing pad, in general for the world that has been built out since then, and the effects that it's had, realistically we have to look beyond that landing system. I think we need a much broader solution than that, because even low level flying in the dark can be quite a tricky thing. I mean, had I not had my headlights on, I might have tried to fly directly into this outpost only to find out that there was a cliff between here and there. And even the lighting, as you're going to see as I'm trying to land, really isn't up to the task that are, the lighting that's available to our ships. Now you could say, well, we can brighten the lights, we can place lights around your ship that focus downwards, that reveal more of the terrain and the relief of the terrain beneath you to you as a pilot. But once again, that only really comes into use in the third person. Being stuck in the first person, as this is a first person game, it doesn't provide any real information as to what's underneath me. Now, a simple terrain map that reveals what's underneath me while I'm static or I'm very close to the ground like this is okay, but what happens if I have to fly at low level in the dark? I mean, think about that. You may need to sneak up on somebody's base, or you may be doing a mission that requires you to go to an AI location, either a camp like this or some other form of fortification. You may need to approach, quietly. You may want to fly up one of these canyons in the dark to get to your objective. And if you're moving along at a good speed, by the time you see something, it may be too late to turn. And it's kind of one of these things where, if you think about it, having some kind of basic terrain mapping radar in front of you that at least shows on one of your MFDs, if you're not willing to, say, okay, well, we got to make broad changes, we got to change every cockpit in the game. If you're not looking to take on that amount of work, having a system that looks out ahead of you and shows on one of your MFDs would probably be the better way to go than just, say, having a few remote cameras, even though during that interview CIG kind of pretty much shot that one down. Said no, it's too much work, too much resources for the CPU. So they kind of more or less said that's not something that's going to happen. Whereas if we just have the sort of landing camera, or not camera, but that landing map that we had before, but something that we can extend out on a much broader range, that could be something that we could use in the cockpit. We could place it over the radar screen, which is, semi-useless at the moment, and actually get some real use out of it, and that could reveal the terrain to us when we're flying low in the dark, which is something that we're probably going to have to do from time to time. Now, I want to step back for a moment and say that, it's not a question of that I'm dissatisfied with CIG's answer. In fact, quite the contrary. I'm happy that CIG actually addressed this and said, yeah, we are looking at the landing radar from 2.6.3 and we're looking to implement that. What I would suggest, since this isn't a system that's been fully developed or anything like that, I would suggest giving it a broader range and allowing players to customize that range depending on the situation. Let's say, you're just landing somewhere, you've gotten down close to the ground, and you're just landing somewhere in the dark, then you can set it to a very short range, something approximate to the size of your ship. So you kind of have maybe a little icon that represents your ship relative to the terrain, and you can use that to land. That big radar screen in the middle for the Caterpillar would be perfect for that, but something that you could then scale outwards, or scale down, so that you can see much more of the terrain ahead of you. So that would allow you to fly using that icon of your ship and its relative position to the terrain on that display to give you the navigational information that you need to fly at low level, even in the dark. I think that would be a really great thing to see implemented in this system. If it's a system that you're still looking to develop out and flesh out, that would be my suggestion. Now, you might say that it's a little early to kind of make suggestions like these, or to say things like this. Like, let's see what they come up with and let's wait. But realistically, we kind of already waited, and we already have kind of paid the price here. We're already trying to land ships in the dark because no one really thought that this was going to be a thing in the early days. Everyone kind of thought that, in the original iteration of Star Citizen, what we thought was going to happen, we were all going to go to landing sites anyways, and we were just going to have an automated landing. You go, you park, no big deal. But the game kind of got bigger, and with that comes a lot of extra practical baggage, things that you got to think about. And CIG kind of tends to think of things sometimes, surprisingly, in kind of a small way. Take recently when they were talking about night vision. Talking, well, maybe we thought about putting night vision on scopes, something like that for guns. But I mean, think about, like, if you think about night vision and all the different applications that has, whether it's infrared or low light scopes or things like that, I mean, that can be mounted on a helmet. We certainly have that today. So why wouldn't we have it in the game when we have night conditions? Why wouldn't that be a thing that we would have access to? Why would it only be limited to a gun? And certainly for piloting, that is something that we could definitely use. That would be something awesome to have, and it certainly would be another way to kind of solve this problem. And so I think that it's important that we talk about these things. And I applaud all the people who are bringing up things like cockpit views a lot more in Reddit and on Spectrum, people who are like driving that home, because it has become a bit of an issue, and it has become a problem in the game. Something that has gone from, that's off in the future, we don't have to worry about it, it's not a big deal, don't understand why you guys are complaining about it. It's gone to become a very present thing, something that we are dealing with day in, day out now, to the point that we have to kind of land our ships in the third person now because of these omissions. The important thing is that we get a discussion ruling, that we get some kind of movement on the developer end, some kind of, we see that now. That's the important thing. And then to do that, you can't be somebody who tries to avoid confrontation, or someone who's like, I don't want a conflict, and why do we have to argue about this? You have to realistically, kind of attack these problems and kind of say, this is something that's going to become a bit of a problem in the future. Often it's that reluctance, that kind of hiding away from a problem, that kind of exasperates the problem, makes it worse. And you have to be there talking about it, and you have to kind of apply a certain amount of continuous pressure to get some real forward motion on the issue, or to make sure at least the issue kind of gets resolved, or at least the community gets an explanation as to why something is happening. Now, one of the issues with this ship in particular, with the Caterpillar, is it's undergunned. And some people say, well, it's just a cargo ship. Well, I would say not really. For the longest time, the Caterpillar was billed, when they would write up lore posts about it, specifically around sales, it was billed as kind of the centerpiece of the pirate raiding squad. It was, it's something that doesn't sit out in the back and just wait to collect cargo. This is something that's right up there in your face, along with the cutlasses. There was art towards that, there was lore posts depicting that. And Is the Caterpillar really that ship? I would say no. It really hasn't turned out that way, and we've discussed this before. And I think that, you know, you have to kind of keep that pressure up and say, no, 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 no. It was billed as this. It should be that. Now, in regards to that, there is some kind of light at the end of the tunnel, because there's a lot of things that come in with item 2.0. There could be many ways with the Caterpillar, many options to perhaps augment the Caterpillar's defensive capabilities to make it a really strong defensive ship. Maybe it doesn't have the best offensive firepower, but maybe it is... Whoops, the planet disappeared. Maybe it's really offensively strong, something that, or defensively strong, something that means it can outlast an opponent, something that makes it, you know, something that you have to worry about on the battlefield, something that you kind of can't just take for granted, something that should worry a player. Maybe that will appear with item 2.0. Maybe that'll get fleshed out, and maybe it'll be made into that ship. But you still gotta keep that pressure up, and you still gotta say, hey, no, we remember that, and we remember you guys talking about that thing, and we still kind of want to see that. You know, like when Chris Roberts came on RTV a couple of weeks ago, and he said, no, 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 the things you see in those lore posts are the things that we're going to do. The things that you see us write up, those are the things that we're going to do. He said that. And, you know, the Caterpillar was always this fighting transport. So, you know, we can have faith that, yeah, through item 2.0, maybe that is going to come to fruition. But at the same time, you got to kind of keep that pressure up and make sure this doesn't turn into another, you know, Xeon Scout, where it's like, oh, it's got 6 guns and 2 people. Oh, it's got 4 guns and 2 people. Oh, now it's just got 2 guns and it's a 1-person ship. Anyways, there it is. It's flyable. Let's stop talking about it. Okay, bye-bye. You know what I mean? You got to keep that pressure up and remind people that, hey, we are looking for these things and we want to see these things when the ship becomes flyable. Maybe not everything's possible within the systems of the game, but within the systems of the game, it should certainly be possible to make the Caterpillar the fighting transport that it was billed as. So just like the landing systems, just like cockpit visibility, it's something that you have to keep talking about. You have to kind of keep reiterating that, yeah, this is a concern. This is something that we would like to see remedied, or this is something that we would like to see implemented, because otherwise it just kind of gets forgotten and then brushed off. So that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.